In this video, I'm going to tell you why it's better to buy more gaming minis than gaming books. This video is going to be a bit of an opinion piece, but, I'm not your dad, as it turns out. So you do what you want. Also, a caveat to lead off with right away, just to help, kind of pare back a little bit in some of the responses in the comments. If you don't actually play tabletop war games, you just like the stories, you like the artwork, you like having books because you like having books, but you don't really play the game. You just like to collect the books and read them and have them on the shelf and look at them and all that kind of stuff. Then feel free to buy all the books. Knock yourself out. This video and this opinion kind of aiming towards the folks that play the games. I've learned over the years of playing war games and all that kind of stuff that I prefer generally buying minis instead of books. Now, there's something to be said about the kind of serotonin sort of like little burst you get when you buy new stuff. We've all had that, and sometimes we've had more of it than we should, and then our basements get kind of filled up and that kind of stuff. But what I'm talking about is I like buying minis because I know that not only is it something that I'm going to enjoy building and painting and all that kind of stuff, but also I can use them in all kinds of different games and things like that. Minis can be from all kinds of games and companies. You can buy stuff. There's a lot of companies out there that just sell minis that don't sell a game. They just make minis for other people to use in games, or people to use in role-playing, or people just to use in dioramas and all kinds of things like that. And so minis have a very kind of longevity sort of thing going on. You can do a lot with minis, and that's great. Now books in general, they will sometimes be released and then become obsolete like pretty quick. You know what I mean? And I don't want to call out anybody specifically, but it rhymes with Games Workshop. Now, in contrast, speaking of Games Workshop, here are some of my earliest ever Warhammer 40,000 models. I was a Tau player in 5th edition, as kind of weird and maybe possibly sad that was it during 5th edition. I don't have that stuff I have these models still. I don't like to sell painted models, but all my unpainted stuff, all my unpainted Tau at one point I sold with the help of a friend.
Tau for sale!
But I can use these minis, these Tau, these Kroot, and any other minis that I've ever bought for games like Space Weirdos, which I've talked about in the past, Pachow, one-page rules, which I've also kind of talked about here and there to different places, Planet 28, Kill Team. I've used them in Kill Team before. I'm going to be using these guys in some battle reports probably for the upcoming game that Vince and I are making for Snarling Badger Studios, which will be coming out a little bit later this summer. And models can be used in tons and tons of different places, and eventually sometimes books, they kind of can't. You can still enjoy them, certainly, if you're a person who's super into books, but eventually they do become obsolete. Now, partially due to this, but maybe some other things as well, there are plenty of companies out there in the wargaming space, many companies, not all, that will sell both minis and rules, and they will supply the rules for free. If there's a company out there that sells, I know Mythos is a game, I was looking at just recently, and it's from War Cradle, and you can get the PDF of the rules on their website, so you can check it out for free, go from there, and everything like that. Plus, they also sell all the cool kind of weird eldritch models and all that jazz. But if you want to, after you've tried it out maybe and taken a look at it and read through the rules and go, this is something I'm interested in, these models are cool and all that kind of stuff, you can then just use the PDF rules and go to town and have a good time with it. Or they also do sell, in that situation, a physical booklet, like a smaller booklet. But if you do want a print version, you can buy it from them. And there's plenty of folks out there that do prefer print over PDFs and ebooks and things like that. And I'll talk a little bit more about PDFs in a sec. But, giving the option out there for both, admittedly, sometimes it's a little bit more, I don't want to say expensive necessarily from the company's aspect, because I really do honestly believe that there's a lot of folks out there that look at the rules first. It's almost like, remember shareware back in the day where you would get like a disc like an actual floppy disk, and it would have a game on it, but just the first level, and you would play it, and that would be fun, and then it would make you want to buy the rest of the game, that kind of thing. Sitting down and being able to look through the PDF of the full rules and check it out, and even use those rules, and then not spend money on books, spend more money on the models from that company's making money either way. And you, if you want to, can actually buy the physical book in some situations. Some companies don't even make the physical book. I don't think there's a physical book for Star Wars Legion. They just have the rules as a PDF. So it kind of depends on how you want to do it, but not every company makes it where you have to buy a whole bunch of books just to play the game. Now, like I said, PDFs, even if a company sells lots and lots and lots of books for their big, huge, massive game that is, available all over the place, or maybe even they only just sell one book, if they're a very small company and it's a very small game, that kind of stuff. I personally find it's still quite appreciated if those books are available as PDF. There's a bunch of benefits to the PDF situation, to be perfectly honest with you. Again, this is an opinion piece, but I love the fact that they're searchable. I can just tap the little thing and type in a keyword and find all the parts where I need to know about the thing that I'm trying to look up, as opposed to flipping through page after page after page trying to find the thing I'm trying to look up. There's something beneficial to technology, and searchability is a big one. Also, I have an iPad, and it's very thin, and I can put dozens and dozens, if not potentially hundreds of different PDF rule sets on it, throw it in my backpack. If I have this stack of books here, I don't want to carry this in my backpack. And this is, admittedly, it's 3 editions of 440K and then most of the indexes from 8th edition. But if these were all in PDF, I could keep them on my phone, right? Plus, there's also no shipping, which in this day and age, you're getting your books very frequently still kind of made in like China, and then try to get them shipped over here, global shipping crisis, all that stuff. If it's a PDF, boom, it's all over the world very quickly. And then last but not least, like, these books are completely useless at the point. These are indexes that came out when 8th edition came out, right? 40K. They ripped the Band-Aid off and changed everything, and these were all of the new things. There's not really any story in there. There's some photographs, but it's basically just stats for the most part, not really much else. And you had to buy these if you wanted to play with your armies. Now, in my opinion, these could have been PDFs that they gave out for free until the new codices came out. Or they could have even sold the PDFs at maybe a cheap price, but honestly, I think free PDFs would have really done even more to get more people into 8th edition. But the long and the short of it is, now I have to figure out, I got to recycle these because they're basically useless. Now, I hear you. You're saying, but I like to keep old obsolete gaming books because of the stories and the art and all that kind of stuff, which with some books, that's fair. But again, like I said, what about the indexes that they released, And there's not a lot of other companies that have done this kind of stuff. So I can't give you a ton of other examples other than the 8th edition indexes, which I've had on my shelf here in the studio for quite some time and obviously not touched. They're a bit dusty. But here's another example from the same company. What about the Kill Team Compendium? Again, that was a $50 book. And then, it could have just been maybe a PDF that people downloaded for free, and then you would have been more likely to want to spend money on the new stuff that they're coming out with, the White Dwarfs that have the kind of fancy schmancy rules in them for some of the new armies like Adeptus Mechanicus, Thousand Suns, and some other ones, or maybe some of those quarterly boxes. But, if you've already been kind of, you pay the $50 to get a book full of like index kind of information, those could have been PDFs, and that would have helped a lot. There's something to be said about being able to give away not all the rules. Obviously, if you're a company that makes just rules and doesn't make miniatures, like a model agnostic thing, then obviously you're going to charge for the rules. But if you're a company that's really trying to get people to buy models, there's a lot of things you can do to get them to buy more models, and not charge them so much for books is kind of a big deal. So think about your gaming and buying habits. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the number of book releases that some companies have for potentially the game that you might play, whether it is the cycle of how quickly the books get redone, the rules and stuff like that, or whether it's just the amount of added on new books that come out every 6 months or whatever, then maybe you might want to take a look at some of the other game companies that are out there that are either producing games that have a free PDF and they want you to maybe buy the rules, or maybe it's an inexpensive game that is model agnostic, so you can bring your models that you already have, maybe the ones you've been working on, for quite some time with this current company, bring them over, play them in a new situation, either with a cheap rule set, something inexpensive, maybe free, and you might be able to find some real fun with both your models and a new rule set. Hopefully, you found my opinion slightly interesting, maybe even useful, and that'd be great. If you liked the video, click the thingy down below. It really helps. And subscribe if you're interested. Think about buying more minis that you can use in any game and you'll have for years and years and years, maybe rather than all of the books. And thanks for watching.